In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a JellyFin Media server on a Raspberry Pi in under 10 minutes. The only requirement of this video, you need a Raspberry Pi with 4 gigs of RAM or higher, an Ethernet cable for internet connection, an official power supply, an SD card for booting an operating system, and an external SSD for storing the media files. That being said, it's time to flash an operating system onto the SD card. Open your browser and navigate to the following link. Download and install the Raspberry Pi imager. I'm using a Windows 11 computer, so I selected the corresponding version. Once installed, open the software and connect the SD card through the USB 3 port on your computer. Now choose the device and select Raspberry Pi. Now choose OS. For the sake of simplicity, I will use Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit Lite Edition. You can also choose the Ubuntu server operating system. Then click on the storage device and choose your drive. Since we're installing the Lite version of Raspberry Pi OS, it's important to enable SSH upon booting. This way, we can remotely connect to Pi 5 from another computer within a network. To do so, click on Next and choose this option to tweak some settings. Enable set hostname to identify the Raspberry Pi on a network. For example, I'm going to set it as a Raspberry Pi. Then set the username and password. For example, Pi as the username. You can enable wireless LAN and provide a valid SSID and password for automatic Wi-Fi connection after each reboot, but it's recommended to use an Ethernet cable for internet connection. Now set the locale and click on Save. Then click on this setting and take this option to enable SSH, then click on Write to flash the Raspberry Pi OS onto the SD card. After flashing, remove and reconnect the SD card. Inside My Computer, look for the bootfs partition and locate the config.txt file. You can overclock the Raspberry Pi by adding some arguments to this file. This will adjust the CPU speed and voltage. In my case, I have overclocked the CPU to 2.8 GHz, GPU to 700 MHz, and the voltage is set to 3. Keep in mind that overclocking requires an official power supply or any other fast charger that is capable of delivering 3 amps or more. Once it's done, save the changes. Now remove the SD card from the computer and insert it into your Raspberry Pi. Connect the power supply and turn it on. To connect to the Raspberry Pi from a remote computer, open Command Prompt on your Windows computer and type ping-4 Raspberry Pi.local. Raspberry Pi is the hostname I set to my Pi. Running this command will display the IP address associated with that hostname on the network. Now, as you can see, this is a current IP address assigned by Wi-Fi router. You can use a tool called Advanced IP Scanner to find the IP address of Pi. Now type SSH, Pi ampersand, and the IP address of the Raspberry Pi and enter the password. Now edit the SSH configuration file to extend the idle timeout limit for SSH connections. Now uncomment the 2 specified lines. Now set the client alive interval to 1 million to keep the SSH connection active for several hours. Once you have made these changes, save them. Then run this command to update the source list. And if you see any package updates, run this command to upgrade them. Now head over to this URL in your browser to set up CasaOS. Copy this line and paste it on the command prompt. Now this installation will take a few minutes, so please be patient. Once it's done, reboot your Raspberry Pi by typing this command. Then after booting, reconnect back via SSH. Now open a new tab in your browser and enter the IP address of your Pi to access the CasaOS web UI. Now set the username and password in CasaOS. Congratulations, you have successfully set up CasaOS on the Raspberry Pi. Now as you can see, this is the CasaOS web UI accessible within a network from any browser using the Raspberry Pi's IP address. The sidebar displays real-time system usage. CasaOS provides a default file storage server for media files, documents, and more. You can use primary SD card storage space to store your media content, but I prefer to store them inside an external SSD. Now let's go ahead and format the external SSD and import some media files into it. Go back to the command prompt or terminal and type sudo-s to log in as the root user. Type fdisk-l to see the list of drives connected to Raspberry Pi 5. In my case, this is the SSD I have connected. You can use another command lsblk to list the drives. Now SDA is my external drive. Let's go ahead and format this drive. To do so, type cfdisk/dev/SDA and the disk identifier in this case is SDA. Press enter. Select the free space using the arrow keys. Highlight the new option and press enter. Then press enter again to use the full space and you can see it uses the default Linux file system. Then highlight the right button to foster the changes. Choose quit. If I type lsblk again, you will see one partition named SDA1 under this drive. Let's format the new partition to use the ext4 file system. Simply type this command to format the partition. Once it's done, it's time to mount this partition. Now by default, CasaOS creates a folder named Data. Now inside the directory, you will see a media folder containing 3 main folders. CasaOS uses this media folder for app services. We are going to create a folder named USB inside Data and Media by typing this command. Then type this command to give full permissions to this folder. Once it's done, mount the external SSD to this directory. That's it, we have successfully mounted the external SSD. To make these changes persistent, type blkid and look for your external drive. In my case, /dev SDA1 is the one. Copy the UUID argument, then type nano etc fstab and go to the bottom of the file, paste the copied argument, then give a space and type the mount path, which is data, media, and USB. Give a space and type ext4 as the file system, space defaults, and add 2 zeros. This line tells the system to automatically mount the external drive to the specified location every time the system reboots. Once it's done, save the changes by pressing Ctrl+O and Ctrl+X to exit. Now type cd, data, media, and USB. Then type this command to create 2 new folders named USB Movies and USB Music. This is where we are going to import media content in a moment. Then type this command to give full permissions to this folder. That's it, we are done formatting and mounting the external SSD. Now go back to the web browser and use CasaOS. Click on Files and you will see your USB drive. I'm going to go ahead and import some files that I shot from my computer. Just go ahead, drag and drop them like this. That's it, we have done importing the media. Now go to the App Store in CasaOS and find the JellyFin image to install it. Once installed, go back to the main page of CasaOS. Go ahead and hover on this app icon. Click on this three-dot menu and choose Settings. Now look for the volumes. Now by default, JellyFin uses this mount path to grab media. We're going to change that and add this path. So we are mapping the external drive to the media folder inside a JellyFin container. That's it. Now save the changes. It's time to configure the JellyFin Media server. Go ahead, choose the language, then click on Next. Set up a user account to access the JellyFin server. Now choose to add a media library. Choose Media and select USB movies. Now, likewise, you can link music and TV shows folders. Once it's done, click on Next and leave the defaults. Make sure you have enabled this option to allow the remote connection to the JellyFin server. Click on Next and finish configuring JellyFin. Now, this will take you to the login panel and type the username and password to login. Now you can stream the content present inside the movies directory across multiple devices. Now, this is the best media server that you can build with your content. Now, as you can see, this is the 4K footage at 30 FPS that is playing with minor frame drops. It struggles a lot while playing 4K at 60 FPS. But when it comes to 1080p video, it can play them without any frame drops on up to 6 screens and 720p video on up to 10 screens. It's time to enable hardware acceleration on Raspberry Pi 5 to improve the speed of transcoding. Now, this will significantly improve the video playback. To do so, on the web interface, from the top left, click on the hamburger icon and choose Dashboard. Now select Playback, choose Hardware Acceleration, and use the V4L2 module for hardware accelerated performance. Once it's done, save the changes. It's time to set up the static IP address for your Raspberry Pi 5. Now, as you can see, this is the current IP address of my Raspberry Pi 5. If you want to set up a static IP address, it's recommended to do so through your Wi-Fi router by reserving the IP address permanently. Simply log in into your Wi-Fi router and look for the list of connected devices. Find the Raspberry Pi 5 through its hostname and copy the MAC address. Then head over to the LAN settings and find DHCP server settings. In my case, I'm going to add a new static DHCP entry by pasting the MAC address, and I'm going to use this IP address. Your Wi-Fi router will reserve this IP address for Pi 5 forever. Now within a network, you can simply type the IP address with the port number 8096 or 8097 into any computer's browser, and it will open the JellyFin Media server. That's pretty much it. This is how you can set up a JellyFin Media server on Raspberry Pi 5 under 10 minutes. Let me know what do you think about it in the comments section down below. Don't forget to check the description for more information. Thanks for watching. This has been KSK Royal. I will see you in the next one.